Last year I was sitting in my room all day working my ass off, sending hundreds of cold outreach messages, spamming content, and nothing worked. I was struggling to sign clients, people didn't respond to my messages, and the content I was posting didn't attract the right audience. And at this point I was so tired because I was putting in so much time and effort, but I didn't see any results from the work that I was actually putting in. But now, 1 year later, everything has changed. Now I'm working with my dream clients. I know exactly what to post to attract the right people, and I'm consistently booking calls. And the crazy part, I'm doing all of this while still going to school without sacrificing my social life or working 24/7. The thing that changed wasn't how hard I actually worked, it was how I worked. The system that got me here is what I call the content to client system. It's a system built to turn the views, followers, attention that you're getting into real paying clients. And it's the exact same system that I've been implementing into multiple coaching businesses to help them scale. And in this video I'm going to break down exactly how it works so you finally can start attracting the right people with your content, book more calls, and close more deals. So let's dive straight into it. So the first step in order for you to scale your coaching business to the next level is to identify your dream client. Because if you don't know who your dream client actually is and who you want to work with, it's going to be insanely hard for you to actually create content that attracts the right person. So the first thing you have to do is to identify your ICP. And if you don't know what ICP stands for, it is basically your ideal client profile, the person you want to attract, your target audience. And you need to know this because you need to know who exactly are you talking to, and what are they struggling with, and what do they want. Because if you don't know these things, it's going to be super hard. You also need to know and understand what they're struggling with, what problems are they having in their lives, what have they been trying before, what's holding them back. These are all things you need to have super clear, because otherwise it's going to be very hard for you to create content on Instagram, YouTube, etc. that is attracting the person you want. Then secondly, we have define your mechanism. This is your unique way of getting results, how you actually get a client from point A to point B, and what makes you stand out from everyone else. Because if you basically do the exact same thing as every other coach on the internet, you will never stand out. And why should people even choose you then? So you need to have your unique way of doing things and actually helping your clients. Then thirdly, define your goal. What exact transformation do you deliver? Clear before and after for your client. You need to know exactly like how you're going to get your client results, where they're going to get in order for you to like get more sales. Because if you don't know the transformation that you're going to get them and the goal you actually have, then why should people even buy from you? They're never going to buy if you don't know what results you can guarantee to actually deliver. So having a clear goal in your mind is very important as well. And let's just take a look at one of my clients, Aaron here. He's a great example for this. And firstly, just look at his Instagram page. Everything is super professional and dialed in. So the first reason to why this is good and why he's actually attracting the people he wants is because he has a very clear ICP. He's helping high performing professionals. I see so many people, they only have like, I help PC professionals. That is not enough. You have to be more specific. He has, I help high performing professionals build elite physiques, which is the result. This is very specific because it's not too wide, and he's very clear on the person he wants to attract. And he has his own mechanism, his proven progression method. When you have your own method for the things that you actually are doing, you're going to stand out from the crowd, and people are going to see you and the way you teach as different. And he has a clear goal, building elite physiques, results, and crystal clear on who he helps, how he does, and what they get. So these are all things you need. You need to know who the person you want to work with and the exact results you can guarantee them. Because if you don't know that, like, you don't even have a real coaching business, to be fully honest. Then secondly is your brand. This is what's going to make people remember you for who you are. And if you don't have a clear brand, you're just going to look the same as every other coach out there on social media. So this is one of the most important parts, and I see so many people forgetting about this, to be fully honest. They are just posting content, working with clients, building their business, but there is no clear brand behind it. So firstly, define your identity. This is super important. Your personality, your values, and story. What do you stand for and why should people follow you? This is more like your own brand, who you are as a person. What are the things you value in this life? People need to know this because this is what people can relate to. If they can relate to your vision, they will feel more attracted to actually work with you. Secondly, define your visual language, your editing style, video quality, how you dressed, your colors, and overall look and feel. Because let me give you some perspective on this one. If you want to attract people that has a lot of money, that can invest into your high ticket program, you can't dress like shit. You can't have bad quality on your content. Everything needs to be super good and high quality. You have to dress well so people can see that you're actually taking your life serious. You're not just sitting inside all day working. You actually have a life. You know how to dress. These are all things that people are going to look at before they actually decide to buy from you. And what I would also recommend you to do is to have your own way of how you dress, for example, and the way you color grade in your camera, etc. Then you also have to define your brandage, your tone and language, what makes you different, and any possible to ignore. For example, a lot of people that decide to start working with me, they are telling me that the reason to why they decided to work was because of my energy, and they also love the way I speak. They can hear that I'm from Sweden, not another country. But it's especially the energy. And you need to identify something that makes you different from everyone else out there, which is super important because you can't blend in when it comes to this, especially now when AI is getting bigger and it's getting harder and harder. So just look at these down here. These are some of my content. So firstly, just look at my feed here. There is a super clear branding. I have this like orange, dark aesthetic style of things. I'm dressing pretty much the same in most of my videos. Then the editing is also very, very clear and simple. So these are the things that you have to think on as well to actually stand out. Because if you have no clear brand behind your personal brand, the videos that you post, it's going to be hard. And this is how people will remember you. And the reason to why I'm saying this so many times is because so many people forget about this part, which is actually one of the most important ones. And thirdly, we have creating content that sells. And to be fully honest with you, content is the number one most important thing in your business. If you can't create content that actually sells, attract the right people, builds trust and authority, you are going to be left behind and people will not trust you and actually buy into your coaching. So content is the number one most important thing. It doesn't matter how good your funnel or systems are. If you don't have a great way of creating content and actually reaching the people you want, you're never going to be able to scale your business to the next level. So in order for you to create content that sells, you need to have a clear message. Every video has one point and one point only. No confusion, no fluff. You need to be super clear on what you want to tell your audience. For example, if you are a fitness coach, you need a clear message behind fitness, why they actually should get in shape. Then solve real problems with it. You can't just post videos solving literally nothing and just talking about generic advice that people have heard hundreds of times. You need to talk about real problems, specific problems that people are actually struggling with in their life. So if you're a fitness coach, again, as an example, you can't just talk about, oh, lose weight and you will look better. That is not why people buy. You have to dive deeper. You have to talk about the transformation, how it actually changed your lives in real ways, how your confidence is transforming. and also give real value that they can use straight away. And then we have speak to your avatar. You need to know exactly who you're creating the content for. That is exactly why you need to be clear on the ICP, as I explained in the beginning of this video, because if you're not clear on that, this step is literally impossible then. Because when I say speak to your avatar, every word should be directed at that specific person. Because if everyone is your audience, no one is ever going to buy. So it's better to be a little bit more specific than doing too wide content. Of course, it's great to do that sometimes if you need a video to actually pop off. But speaking to one specific person is also one of the most important things to build a successful coaching business. And handle objections. Your content that you should be posting should handle objections, because you don't want to go on sales calls when people are just throwing objections in your face every single second. And if that's you currently, it means that you're not posting the right type of content, because your content should do 80% of the selling for you. And now you're probably me, like, and ask yourself, like, how do I even do that? It's about creating content that builds trust, authority, and you need to understand exactly what objections your clients currently have. Because what you should then do is to create content handling those objections and shifting their beliefs around a specific topic. And this is exactly what we did for my clients here. These are just two of them. We have Vishnu up here at the top, and he has a clear branding as well, as you can see. Content is looking really good. And that is exactly what he's doing, because he's able to close 5K deals with his coaching business. And that would not be possible if he didn't know how to create the right type of videos. And he's being super clear on that. He's helping Singaporeans and Malaysians build healthy habits. Then we have my client Tim here. His YouTube channel is really popping off. He's helping dad build the life that they actually want, be able to provide for their family and get in their best shapes. And just look at this. His client interview popped off and have 5,000 views. This is so insane, because most of the videos that most of the people are posting on internet coaches are usually getting anywhere between 30 to 200 views maximum. But this video really popped off, and client interviews are especially hard to go viral with. But YouTube is, if you're not posting on YouTube, it is by far the most important platform to be on. But none of these clients right here, this wouldn't be possible if they didn't know who their content was for. If they didn't solve real problems and talk about topics that people were actually struggling with. Then we have short form content. So I'm going to dive into each of the content styles here, so you understand exactly what you have to post in order for you to, as I said before, attract the right people and be able to convert more of your audience and the content that you're posting. So the first style is belief shifting. Challenge a common misconceptions your audience believes. Explain why the wrong approach fails. Reveal the correct way you think about it. Break down why it actually works. Show them you understand this at a deeper level. Because so many people have different beliefs holding them back from, for example, joining your coaching. They have, for example, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. These are all beliefs that they have. Or they can have different beliefs about the specific niche that you are posting about and teaching your audience. And your job is to shift those beliefs and make them think in your way, which is super important. Because if your audience don't believe in the things that you're saying, how can you expect someone to actually go and buy from you? So it's all about shifting their current way of thinking to how you are thinking and the right way of doing it. Then secondly, we have educational content, which is super important. And yes, you're probably seen so many people out there saying that you shouldn't post educational content because people don't care. But it is still important to do it, because how can you expect people to trust you if you don't post any sort of educational or value content? Like, how can they understand that you know what you're actually talking about? So educational content is great for you to prove your audience that you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, and just educating the viewer on real specific problems, which is super important. Then thirdly, storytelling videos. This is one of the most important content styles that so many coaches are missing out on. Most of the people I see every single day on my feed, I've studied over hundreds of different coaching businesses. 99% are only posting educational and videos with a very wide message, but none of them are actually sharing their story, personality, which is insanely important, because this is how people actually can relate on a deeper level, because that's the goal with storytelling content, to make the viewer relate to you and your story and connect on a deeper level, because people buy when they feel like they can relate to the actual coach. That's how they buy into you as the coach, because they never buy into your actual content, coaching or service. They always buy into you first, the actual founder, because people trust people and buy from people that they like and can relate to. And then we have grab attention content. And now you probably wonder, what is even grab attention content? This is content that is going more viral, getting more views, so you can get more people coming into your actual content ecosystem, so they then can get nurtured by all the other content that you're posting. So grab attention content is basically just to get new people to your page, new followers that you of course can start conversations with and get on a call, but just to get people into your ecosystem so you then can nurture them. And that is exactly why you need the right system and funnel behind your business, because if you don't have that, that traffic goes literally nowhere. And lastly, proof content, which is also super important, and so many people are missing out on this. And when I say proof content, this is basically content that shows that what you actually do works. It can be about your own transformation, your client success stories, says how you helped your client get from point A to point B and help them transform their life. And this is more important than ever, since the all-time trust online is at an all-time low. And people need to spend more time with you and see much more proof in order for them to actually trust you. And proof is one of the only content styles. And let's take fitness again as an example. What I see very often is fitness coaches who's just posting before and after pictures. But how can you expect someone to just buy from a picture? And it's the same thing when it comes to like text reviews, etc. You have to tell real stories, show real proof, and explain exactly how you helped your client, because that's when they start trusting you. And good ways to do this is by doing client interviews on your YouTube channel that you can then just repost on your Instagram. Do breakdowns with short form content, breaking down how you got your client from being in pain to now being in the best shape of their life, for example. These are all things people need to see in order for them to actually trust you and buy from you. And the reason to why I personally recommend client interviews is because that is like the bottom of funnel content. That is what they watch before they actually decide to buy from you. And that video should of course also handle objections and build a trust. That is like the main goal. Then when it comes to YouTube, which is also one of the most important platforms, and I would actually say it's the best platform to be on now in 2026, and it's the most important one. And especially now when the all-time trust is at an all-time low and people had to spend more time with you before they trust you and buy into you as a person, because it is super hard to build up that trust just from a 30-second reel. No one is ever going to buy from that. The YouTube channel should firstly nurture it, because it is super hard to do that through a second long reel, and people have to see more of you, your mechanisms, how you're helping people before they actually decides to buy from you. And it should build trust and connect with the viewer on a deeper level, show who you are, how you think, why you know your stuff, proof, and your story. These are all things that you have to show in your YouTube. Don't just post educational. It is important that you're actually following all these things. Posting proof, sharing story, personality especially, your mechanisms, how you're actually helping people. And the goal with Instagram and YouTube is that they should work together. They should not be separated, because you should drive all your Instagram traffic to your YouTube channel, all the YouTube traffic to your Instagram channel, which is super important. Then lastly, handle objections. That is one of the most important parts your YouTube content should be doing. And as I showed you before, here is Tim again, who got viral with his long form client interview, which is pretty sick. And Tim used his long form to take his audience from Instagram to YouTube, deeper content, stronger trust, and real authority. And this is the, like, before people actually decides to buy, they're always going to look at your long form content first. That is what they have to see. And of course, like, posting on YouTube like will never work out if you don't have the right systems. You of course had to follow the right framework behind it. But this is basically how everything should work together, and this is the content to client system, as I call it. So this is basically the system that I do myself and implement into all of my clients' businesses to help them scale to the next level. So the first step in here, as you can see, is organic content plus ads. I don't recommend you to just do one of them, either run ads, because if you're only running ads, people are not going to trust you. And if you're only running organic, that is pretty unpredictable. It's hard to predict when you're going to get new sales coming in. So they should work together. That is the best way to do it, by running organic and ads. And of course, it is important that you're following the right content styles, speaking to that specific person, because otherwise that is never going to work out. Secondly, you should drive all that traffic to a clear funnel, and that can be, for example, a landing page funnel, it can be a school community funnel, and these are of course all things that I'm building out for all of my clients to really take them to the next level. But you need a clear way to turn someone from a viewer into a buyer. Once they have been paying you either through a sales call, in the DMs, it's just time for you to actually deliver your service and take that to the next level. And if you don't have a dial-in service that is working really well and is getting your client wins, then what are you doing? That is the number one most important thing. Then lastly, case studies. Because once you have been delivering results, you should get case studies, real results, and so you then can use that for your organic content and ads. So everything is like going like this in a circle, because when it comes to case studies, you should use that for your content as well. So this is the exact system that we use to take my clients to the actual next level. And here are some proof that these actually work. So they are closing deals, booking calls, and if you haven't been watching the client interview that I did with my client Marco, make sure to do that. And this is also the same system that I'm using to close deals, 2K deals, etc. and more. And if you want to see more, you can just go to my main Instagram account and go through everything in there. And if you want to work with me, you can now book a free strategy call below this video. And in the meeting, we're just going to ask you a few questions, walk you through a clear presentation on how everything is going to work. And then from there, we just get started. So if that's you, just make sure to click the link below this video.